Well, the Ness was in use for well over 1,000 years, in fact over 1,200 years, so spanning the whole of the Neolithic period in Orkney. And through that 1,000 years, its meaning, its function would have changed.
Minutes ago, a man accidentally uncovered a secret facility that revealed our biggest fear. That's exactly what happened in 2018 in Scotland. They found a stone-lined underground chamber known as an eerie, which dates back to around 350 years before Christ. This chamber was cleverly used to store perishable foods like dairy and meat before refrigerators existed. Can you imagine what secrets or terrifying truths might be buried just beneath our feet, waiting to erupt and confront us with our deepest fears? Uncover these mysteries and find more than just relics of the past. A house builder's ancient find in Ness. Something unexpected was found on the Isle of Lewis in Scotland. A house builder, while digging foundations for a new house in the village of Ness, came across an ancient underground chamber from the Iron Age. This type of chamber is called a souterrain. Usually, souterrains are lined with stone and covered with flat stones. They were often part of bigger structures like roundhouses or wheelhouses, although the ones connected to this site were likely cleared away many years ago. As the builder stepped into the dark underground chamber, his flashlight flickered over something metal, partially buried in the dirt. Brushing away layers of soil, he uncovered a beautifully crafted Celtic shield, its pattern still sharp despite the years. Just as he reached out to touch it, the ground began to shake and a soft, eerie whisper filled the air. Guardian awakened. This particular souterrain in Ness had a curved, stone-built design, with steps leading down into the main chamber. People likely used this space to store food as it was secure and stayed cool. The chamber was about 6.5 meters long and could be entered through a shallow pit with stone steps. The walls were made of dry stone and the entrance was closed off during its last use. Some interesting finds at the site included pieces of decorated pottery from the Iron Age and stone tools, suggesting that this place played a significant role in the daily life of the community. But this wasn't the most fascinating part. The discovery of the souterrain gives us a better understanding of what life was like during the Iron Age in the Scottish Isles. These underground chambers were more than just practical, they were part of the larger landscape and daily activities of the people. They show how people from that time cleverly designed their buildings and adapted to their environment. After the excavation, steps were taken to protect the site before continuing with the construction of the new house. The discovery added another piece to the puzzle of how people lived, worked, and built their homes during the Iron Age. But that's not the most surprising discovery. In 1989, a man in Philadelphia bought an old painting at a flea market for just $4. He was mainly interested in its fancy frame, but there was something hidden behind the painting, an almost perfect copy of the Declaration of Independence printed on July 4th, 1776. This kind of copy, called a Dunlap broadside, was incredibly rare, with only 24 known to exist. This new find became the 25th. What started as a small purchase turned into something worth much more. It was expected to sell for about $1 million at auction, but ended up going for $2.42 million. Years later, its value jumped to $7.4 million, proving that sometimes an ordinary purchase can lead to an extraordinary treasure. And there's another story that might surprise you. In 2023, at the Plaza Theater in Atlanta, a wallet lost by a man named Floyd Kurth during a movie in 1958 was found behind a bathroom wall 65 years later. The wallet was in perfect condition, providing a glimpse into life from decades ago, filled with memories and stories. But these stories keep reminding us that the past can suddenly come back to life. These kinds of unexpected discoveries, whether it's a piece of ancient history or a lost object from the 20th century, show that history is often hiding just beneath the surface, waiting to be found again. In a separate and equally amazing discovery, Martin Johnson came across a valuable piece of American art from the late 1800s. It was a painting of magnolia flowers backed with gold velvet from around 1888 to 1890. Martin, originally from Pennsylvania, had a strong love for nature, which was clear in his artwork. After traveling around Europe and the Americas, he settled in Florida in 1883. The tropical plants, especially the magnolia trees, influenced much of his art later in life. The painting was found in 1999 by a man in his 30s during a game night. He noticed that a painting in an art-themed board game looked a lot like one he had at home. After some research and reaching out to the Kennedy Galleries in New York, it was confirmed that the painting was a real Heed. The Museum of Fine Arts in Houston bought it for $1,250,000. In 2019, Stephen and Stella Highshire, a retired couple from Devon, England, made an amazing discovery in their garden. At first, they thought it was just a broken decoration, but soon they realized it was something much more exciting, a mammoth tooth. The tooth was in great shape, weighing 12 pounds and measuring 15 inches long. It turned out to be a woolly mammoth's lower last molar, which is usually the biggest one. Curious about what they had found, they attended a talk at Sidmouth Museum. During the presentation, they saw a tooth that looked just like theirs, confirming the importance of their discovery. This tooth was a big deal. It weighed as much as 12 pounds, making it one of the largest mammoth teeth ever found in the United Kingdom. Experts believe that if it hadn't been worn down from the mammoth's eating habits, it could have been even heavier, maybe up to 15 pounds. Museum specialists explain that this tooth was likely from the mammoth's final set of molars, as these animals go through 6 sets of teeth during their lives, each new set being bigger than the last. With the past uncovered, let's turn our gaze to another tale that weaves through time. From Roman amphorae to dinosaur eggs. After realizing how special their find was, the Highshires decided to donate the tooth to the Sidmouth Museum. Now it's a key exhibit, giving visitors and researchers a chance to learn more about the ancient creatures that once roamed the region. This ancient artifact, amazingly preserved through time, is a sword, but it didn't end up underground by mistake. Experts believe that the sword was carefully placed there as part of an ancient ceremonial sacrifice by a civilization known as the Tick. Even now, we know very little about these people who are famous for building tall stone structures. We don't really understand their everyday life or their religious practices, so why did they bury this sword? What did it mean to them? These are the kinds of questions that continue to puzzle historians and archaeologists. In Alberta, Canada, some miners were looking for ammonite, a gemstone that forms from the fossilized shells of ammonites, but instead they found something incredible, a nearly complete fossil of a Tylosaurus, an ancient marine reptile that lived around 70 million years ago. This discovery is exciting for several reasons. The Tylosaurus, often called the T-Rex of the seas, was a powerful predator in a vast ocean that once stretched across North America from the Gulf of Mexico all the way to the Arctic. These creatures could grow up to 50 feet long, with long jaws and strong tails that helped them swim quickly and hunt effectively. The fossil they found was in great shape, mostly intact from the head down to almost the tail, although the flippers were missing, probably lost because of decay or predators. Discoveries like this are rare. While miners usually find 1 or 2 marine reptile fossils in this area each year, finding one in such good condition is unusual. The soft mudstone where the fossil was buried helped keep the skeleton well preserved, though the bones had shifted a bit, likely because the body burst as it sank to the bottom of the sea. Paleontologists were excited about this find because it gives them more information about these giant sea creatures that ruled the oceans millions of years ago. Tylosaurs were fierce hunters, feeding on fish, turtles, ammonites, and even other mosasaurs. Scientists know this because they found bite marks on other fossils and even some remains in their stomachs. But the discovery isn't just interesting for scientists. It also highlights how rich Alberta's geological formations are in fossils and offers a glimpse into what life was like in the oceans during the Cretaceous period. But the surprises didn't stop there. In 2020, researchers in Australia made another strange discovery. While studying biofluorescence, when animals absorb one kind of light and then glow in another color, they found that platypuses glow under ultraviolet, UV, light. Curious, they tested other mammals, and to their shock, they discovered that wombats and other marsupials like the Akita and Tasmanian devil also glow in a greenish color under UV light. This kind of glowing effect is more commonly seen in sea creatures and insects, but finding it in mammals was completely unexpected. Scientists still don't know why these animals have this glowing ability, and if you think that's interesting, wait until you hear about what happened in 2010. That year, a British research ship exploring the waters off the coast of Italy, looking for modern shipwrecks and radioactive material, made an astonishing discovery. While using underwater robots to search the ocean floor, they found hundreds of ancient Roman amphorae, which are large pottery jars just sitting there. These jars were from a Roman cargo ship that sank sometime between the 1st and 2nd centuries BCE, and they were found nearly 1,640 feet deep near Civitavecchia, a port close to Rome. This incredible find helps us learn more about Roman trade and their seafaring history. Interestingly, a large part of the ship's cargo, including big clay pots called *eerie*, which were traditionally used to carry things like wine and olive oil, was still sealed and perfectly preserved. Once the crew realized the importance of their discovery, they carefully worked to bring these ancient pots to the surface without any damage. These valuable finds were later sent to a museum in the old city of Pisum, where they were studied and put on display for everyone to see. But that wasn't the most fascinating part. In 2019, a curious 10-year-old boy named Zhang Yang Jie, who loved science, made an exciting discovery near the Dongxiang River in Huan, China. While playing, he stumbled upon a nest of fossilized dinosaur eggs. His keen eye for ancient life led to this incredible find. Experts later uncovered another 10 eggs in the same area, all dating back about 66 million years to the late Cretaceous period. Huan, known as China's dinosaur capital, has unearthed over 177,000 dinosaur eggs since 1996, making this boy's accidental discovery truly special. It no doubt fueled his interest in learning more about paleontology. Now let's take a look at a dramatic event from around 6,200 years ago. In what is now Syria, a group of farmers unknowingly triggered one of the earliest human-caused health crises. The problem? A tiny egg found in a child's grave at the archaeological site of Zan near the Euphrates River. This egg belonged to a parasite called schistosoma, which causes a disease known as schistosomiasis, a serious illness that still affects millions today. These ancient Syrian farmers had developed irrigation techniques that turned dry land into fertile fields. Unfortunately, this also created the perfect conditions for the schistosoma larvae, which live in fresh water and infect snails. The expanded water systems helped these snails breed, and people who came into contact with the water became infected with the parasite. But here's the surprising part. This discovery of the ancient egg has changed what we know about human history, showing that progress in farming technology also came with the unintended spread of a disease that still affects the world today. Each chapter of history offers new questions, pushing us to learn more about our ancient origins and their implications for today. The story of the rediscovered Imperial Egg. He took a big risk, investing more money than usual, hoping to sell a small golden egg for a profit by turning it into scrap metal. But every scrap dealer he went to offered him almost nothing in return. Feeling like he had made a bad decision, he was disappointed. Then, one night, everything changed. He decided to do some research and typed egg and Vatrin Constantine into a search engine, words that were written inside a clock hidden in the golden egg. To his surprise, he discovered that the egg he owned was one of the long-lost Fabergé Imperial Easter eggs. These eggs were made by the famous jeweler Fabergé for the Russian royal family in the 1800s. The one he had was the third Imperial egg, thought to be lost forever, and its value a jaw-dropping $33 million. What was almost thrown away as junk turned out to be a priceless treasure wanted by collectors and historians. He quickly reached out to Kieran McCarthy, an expert in Fabergé items, who confirmed the egg was real. But that wasn't even the most amazing part. This egg, which was close to being sold as scrap, was now a celebrated piece of history, making it an unbelievable stroke of luck. While working with his excavator, a construction worker hit something unexpectedly hard below the ground. At first, he thought it was just a big rock, but when he looked closer, his casual attitude quickly changed to surprise. He had uncovered a finely carved marble head of a Roman woman. This statue, believed to be from the 1st or 2nd century, appeared in pieces. The head, beautifully detailed and full of expression, was found first. Then weeks later, the woman's shoulders were discovered nearby. Experts think the head was once attached to a bust or a stand using an iron dowel, a common method in the 1700s, especially among Italian traders who sold such items to wealthy Europeans. But where the statue came from, who made it, and how it ended up under a parking lot at Berkeley House remains a mystery. Some believe it may have been forgotten over time, while others suggest it could have been stolen and hidden. However, this wasn't the strangest part. Even with all these unknowns, the marble statue has been carefully cleaned and restored. It now stands proudly on display with other historical pieces at Berkeley House, continuing to draw the attention of visitors with its mysterious and timeless expression. A long time ago, a young man went through something truly remarkable. As a child, he had to have surgery to remove his lower leg. The amazing part is that he lived many years after this major surgery, which happened an incredible 31,000 years ago. The surgery was done so well that there were no signs of infection or other problems. Without the advanced tools and knowledge we have today, people back then were capable of performing difficult medical procedures. It changes how we think about early medicine and what people were able to do in those ancient times. In a different story, a man was doing some home renovations when he found something he never expected: a hidden underground room. Throughout history, people have been building secret rooms and tunnels for unknown reasons. In this case, it seemed like the room was connected to some kind of secretive group or activity because of the strange equipment found there. This kind of hidden space makes us wonder what other things people from the past wanted to keep out of sight. In another example, modern technology like Google Earth helped uncover an ancient Roman villa in Kent, England. This villa, about 1,700 years old, was discovered by the Kent Archaeological Society. While looking at satellite images, they noticed unusual shapes on the ground that hinted something was buried there. After digging, they found a large Roman villa with a special heating system called a hypocaust, which kept the villa warm by circulating hot air under the floors. This kind of heating shows just how clever Roman engineers were. The villa must have belonged to rich and powerful people, given the complexity of the system and the size of the home. But even more fascinating is how well this system was preserved, offering us a rare look into the luxurious life of the Roman elite. So you see, each of these stories reveals something different but equally incredible about human history and the lengths people went to, whether in medicine, secrecy, or engineering. What do you think is the most impactful aspect of accidental historical discoveries? Their value in financial terms or their contribution to our understanding of the past? Like and subscribe for more!